What's going on, everybody? William here. Today, we're going to be talking about forgiveness and how it's actually a selfish thing. So, what do I mean by that? How is forgiveness a selfish thing in any way? Well, when we're feeling something such as anger towards somebody, or resentment, or irritation, or we don't like them, whatever the thing is that we're not forgiving, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they hurt us directly, as in did something to us. It could be that they neglected us, that we didn't feel like they respected us. It could be a lot of different reasons why we're not forgiving them. But the way that forgiveness is actually a selfish thing is that when you stop holding on to whatever that thing is, you're actually set free. Forgiveness has nothing to do with that person that wronged you or hurt you or whatever it is, whatever the circumstances. It all has to do with you and your own energy. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to intuitively feel into the first answer that comes to your mind and body. Who is somebody in your life right now that you have struggled to forgive or haven't forgived yet? Now, as that person comes up, or couple people, I want you to feel into what they did, what the experience was, and tap into what that feeling was that they caused you to feel, or that you felt from what they did. So now you should have the person or couple people that have done something wrong, hurt you, whatever it is, that has been hard for you to give or you haven't forgive, and the emotion or emotions that are tied to that thing. Now, what does it feel like to hold on to that feeling? How did they make you feel? Can you describe it? Can you feel into it? Can you give that feeling space to simply exist in this moment without pushing it away, or justifying why you feel the way that you do from what happened? And simply be there. It doesn't need to be judged. It doesn't need to be pushed away. It doesn't need to be psychoanalyzed. Simply feeling whatever that feeling was that came up in that interaction with that person. So as you sit with that feeling, I'd like to ask you, do you want to continue to feel this thing? The feeling alone, having nothing to do with them in this moment, simply, do you want to continue to feel how you're feeling from that thing, from that experience, from that situation? Another question: does you feeling this thing about them or about the situation or whatever it is that hasn't been forgiven, in any way, does that affect them? Other than, you treating them different or speaking to them differently, or, speaking poorly about them, outside of those physical things that we do, is it affecting them? Is you simply feeling the anger, the hatred, the grief about a relationship, whatever it is, affect them in any way that you're aware of? Now, you're most likely coming up with the answer no. There's no way that it affects them. And that's where we get to the point of forgiveness being a selfish thing. Because when we allow ourselves to release that energy that we're holding towards that person, it doesn't have to do with them. They might not even think about that thing. They might not even contemplate, how they made you feel about something. But it's in you because it came up when I asked you, who haven't you forgiven, and what does that feel like? So the selfish part is the freedom that you get from releasing that energy, releasing whatever that negative emotion is towards that person. Now, a lot of things might be coming up now as I say this. Oh, that person doesn't deserve to be forgiven. There's no way that they deserve that. It was such a horrendous thing that they did, or they should have known better, or whatever the thing is. Now, I'm not here to tell you that any of that is wrong. What I am here to say is that they were a child at one point. Can you imagine that person as a 5-year-old right now? As if they're 5 right now, they're right in front of you, a 5-year-old little girl or boy. And in that moment, can you bring to your awareness the knowing that just like you and I, they were born into this world not having any say in who their parents were, how their parents, guardians, family, friends treated them as they grew up. They had no say in any of the traumas that they were going to experience in their life. They had really no say in who they were going to become until, really they became an adult, and maybe as a teenager, if they had that level of self-awareness. But the thing is, most people don't have that level of self-awareness to know why they are the way that they are, why they act the way that they do, why they treat people the way that they do, why they experience certain emotional triggers. So when it comes down to it, the chance of that person intentionally trying to hurt you and it being a primarily personal thing is almost zero. In some way, as wild as it might sound, that person was justifying their behavior and their mind when they treated you that way, did that thing to you, whatever it is. It was completely justified to them. So, if you were actually going into that experience, looking at them as a 5-year-old, taking into account that they did not choose the life that they were given, they did not choose the psychological programming that they received from their life, you might feel a little bit of relief around the idea of forgiving them. And this isn't something to be forced. You can't force yourself to want to forgive them. But what you can do is feel into what forgiveness has felt like in the past for you. Because you've most likely forgiven people for things in the past. And true forgiveness feels amazing. Forgiving people for hurting me feels freeing. Forgiving people for hurting me feels expansive and peaceful. Those things are true, because when we have genuinely forgiven somebody, it feels amazing. We're not holding that weight anymore. We're not constantly reliving the past and feeling those negative feelings that we were feeling in that experience when that person did something or didn't do something or treated us a certain way or whatever it is. We're simply not feeling it anymore. We've let it go. We've given it back to the universe, to God, to whatever this, infinite reality is that we're in. So again, forgiveness is a selfish thing in a positive way that sets us free from these repeated patterns of feeling these negative emotions. And then a whole world opens up to us the more that we forgive people. When we go into our own body, into our own mind, be with ourselves in a quiet, distraction-free place, look back on ourselves as a child with grace and forgiveness, just as we do with so many other people in our lives, we realize that we were the same exact way growing up. We didn't choose who we were going to be born to. We didn't choose the experiences we were going to go through. We didn't choose the traumas we were going to experience that were going to condition us to think and feel a certain way. And the more we forgive ourselves, the easier it is to forgive everybody around us, because we begin to realize that almost nobody on this planet is intentionally going out to personally hurt or wrong somebody. In some way, it's justified in their mind, and they are right for doing what they're doing. Now, that doesn't make dark behavior healthy in any sense of the word. So if this video brought any clarity for you, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. If you have any ideas, questions, or anything you want to share, please leave it on the post. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.